Target and Bud Light continue to bleed profits through the nose as alternatives gain ground. And with a long-awaited full release of the 1023 form by Christopher Wray and the precedent set by the Biden administration in prosecuting political opposition, Biden is in serious trouble. Hello, I'm Mike Huckabee with your June 14th edition of The Breakdown. Before we get started, if you get to the end of the video and find it informative, I hope you'll leave a like and be sure to click the subscribe button below. First of all, let's have an update on Bud Light and Target, two major corporations in free fall because they embraced the radical woke agenda. Both seemed to think consumers would forget after a while and it'd all blow over, but it appears that it is not blowing over. Many Americans are simply fed up with having this stuff crammed down their throats. By and large, everyday Americans are pretty much live and let live. But try to force things on them that violate their values or cross that big red line of trying to indoctrinate their children, and they wake up and they take their money elsewhere. According to the Western Journal, an alcohol industry insider recently appeared on Fox News to speak about Bud Light's problems. Katarina Tucker, the founder of Barnastics Bartending Company, a firm that tracks product shifts for retailers and bars to keep them up on popular brands, told Fox News that even event organizers are shying away from the brand. Demand for Bud Light has plummeted completely. No one wants it at their event anymore, she said, adding that consumers are actively seeking alternatives to Bud Light, gravitating toward craft beers, specialty cocktails, and premium spirits. By the way, I can attest that I have not consumed Bud Light once since all this started. But in full disclosure, I didn't before. I'm such a teetotaler that I've never even tasted beer, so it's not a problem. After Target decided to go after children with their radical agenda, their value dropped by billions. That's right, billions of dollars. And a recent poll said that the company's fealty to the LGBTQIA-EIEIO agenda made them less likely to ever shop there again. Media reports about the problems of these companies are desperately trying to frame this as if it's the conservatives who are terrorists and using the most incendiary leading language possible like transphobic, right-wing backlash. One MSNBC commentator even claimed that the Target boycott was literally economic terrorism.
This is economic terrorism, literally terrorism, creating fear among the workers and forcing the corporations to sell the things you want and not sell the things you don't.
Yeah, burning down cities, that's not terrorism. But choosing to buy your socks and batteries at Walmart instead of the place with tuck-friendly children's swimsuits, that's terrorism. All this emphasizes the need for an alternative economy. At this point, in order to contrast the radical left, it doesn't even have to be an outright conservative one. It simply needs to not be crazy. An ad that went viral recently for a company called Red Balloon sums up quite well just how ridiculous things have gotten in the corporate world and that there are people doing the good work of providing non-woke alternatives.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke.
When I grow up,
I want to be hired based on what I look like,
rather than my skills.
I want to be judged
By my political beliefs.
I want to get promoted
based on my chromosomes. When I grow up,
I want to be offended
By my coworkers.
and walk around the office
On eggshells.
and have my words policed.
By HR. Words like
Grandfather.
peanut gallery.
Long time no see.
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety
and do workplace sensitivity training.
all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder.
just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist.
I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work.
Oh, I love that. They're not the only ones. Already there are some non-woke coffee company alternatives like Black Rifle Coffee, non-woke Amazon alternatives, search engines and social media like Parler, Truth Social, or even Twitter now, or so I still hope. By using these alternatives, we can show more companies than just Target and Bud Light that they still need to earn our business. Now, on to our main story today. The day before Donald Trump was scheduled to be arraigned in a Miami federal court on charges stemming from his possession of documents marked classified at Mar-a-Lago, more potential evidence of Biden family corruption was uncovered in that 1023 form. A claim by the FBI's confidential human source that up to 17 audio recordings were made by the person who allegedly bribed then Vice President Biden. The FBI had redacted that information. The juxtaposition of these two events gives a very clear picture of what's happening in America. Make that to America in 2023. Before we continue, let's see what good old Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, has to say about all this.
And you've heard us say this over and over again. This is a president that respects the rule of law. This is the president that wants to make sure and has proven that to be in his actions to make sure that the Department of Justice is truly independent. And, and he said that during the campaign, he's restoring certainly the integrity of the Department of Justice.
Oh, yeah, all about integrity and a rule of law. That's why, by the way, Karine Jean-Pierre just this week got her wings clipped for repeated violations of the Federal Hatch Act because she used the official podium of the White House to constantly condemn what she called MAGA Republicans in a very political commentary. Well, she never fails to simultaneously make my blood boil and my brain to dribble out of my ears. Anyway, over at the Federalist, legal analyst Margot Cleveland points out that Democrats are still repeating Democratic Representative Jamie Raskin's lie about the investigation by U.S. Attorney Scott Brady in Pittsburgh into the confidential human sources 1023 claims being closed in 2020. In case you missed it, here's Congressman Raskin spewing that lie.
What I know is that the FBI Department of Justice team under William Barr and Scott Brady in the Western District of Pennsylvania terminated the investigation. They said there were no grounds for further investigative steps, so they ended that.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bill Barr has had to continue making the rounds of all the news shows to repeatedly deny this, saying it's not true. It wasn't shut down. On the contrary, it was sent to Delaware for further investigation. Doesn't get any clearer than that, Jamie. Now, having observed for years how the Democrats operate, Margot Cleveland says their extended lying suggests a plot is underway to leak a document that will seemingly support Raskin's narrative. She speculates they need that story to cover the FBI's interception of that damning 1023. You know, the one about a $5 million bribe paid to the Bidens to keep the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office from investigating it, of course, along with Hunter's other financial matters. Speaking of redactions, the truly breaking story about that 1023 form, something else that's in it, and the reason we're just now hearing about it is that it has been redacted from the version first turned over to the House Oversight and Accountability Committee last week. This casts an even longer shadow over the use of redactions by our intelligence community. They're supposed to be redacting information that might threaten national security if known, but they're really doing it to protect the administration and their own shiny behinds. Their overuse of the safeguarding sources and methods excuse is laughable at this point. They've lost all credibility. Iowa Senator Charles Grassley, who heads a committee supporting whistleblowers, announced from the Senate floor Monday afternoon that according to the source, the Ukrainian energy executive involved in the alleged Biden bribery scheme made secret recordings of phone calls with Joe and Hunter Biden as a kind of insurance policy.
The foreign national possesses 15 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Hunter Biden. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 2 audio recordings of phone calls between him and then Vice President Joe Biden. These recordings were allegedly kept as a sort of insurance policy for the foreign national in case that he got into a tight spot.
We also learned from Senator Grassley that Joe Biden may have been instrumental in getting Hunter that highly paid position on the Burisma board. Maybe that's what the 2 phone calls were about. If that's the case, Biden was likely under threat of blackmail, and we're going to need to look at all his decisions regarding Ukraine in that light. Since the 1023 is unclassified but still heavily redacted, Senator Grassley is also calling for the full, unredacted version to be released to the public. Congress has received this type of document before, and they've been made public. So it's not unusual to be asking this. He reminded the FBI that he has read the entire document, unredacted except for 3 tiny segments, the implication being that he knows what they're trying to hide. He also spoke of the very different way Biden and Trump are being treated by the legal system. Two standards of justice in this country will turn our constitutional republic upside down, according to Grassley, citing the political infections of the Justice Department and the Biden FBI. He said that you fight it by bringing transparency to what the government does. If true, this is treasonous behavior by former Vice President Joe Biden, and I really don't think he's going to be allowed to get away with it anymore, especially after setting new precedent in charging President Trump over classified documents. As Proverbs 26, verse 27 says, whoever digs a pit will fall into it. Biden and the Democrats have dug a pit for Donald Trump, but they may be the ones who fall into it in the end. I may actually hold my breath for that. Well, thanks for watching, and if you found this video informative and want to see more like it, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell below. Tune into the Live with Mike live stream this Friday. I'll cover more of the news and answer the questions that you send in. And if you want more of my news analysis and commentary, be sure to sign up for my newsletter, MikeHuckabee.com. It's totally free. That's going to do it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.